Games have always been seen as an easy target, and there's been a lot of moral panic surrounding them, whether it's satanic panic or video games cause violence in the real world, or the claims that objectifying women in a digital experience makes real women uncomfortable for some reason. And now we have a group called Women in Games calling on Steam to remove a game which they say promotes sexual assault. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, gamers are no strangers to people trying to silence us and to censor our entertainment, and unfortunately, it's still happening. In 2025, you would think that people would have moved on from this. They would finally accept the fact that video games don't cause violence in the real world, that, oh, treating a woman in a video game poorly doesn't mean that somebody's going to treat a woman in the real world poorly, but there are still people that push these tired narratives, and now a group called Women in Games wants games censored. No shocker there. It says the Women in Games organization has called on Valve to remove a game from Steam which they say promotes SA and incest. Now, if you have never heard of Women in Games, which by the way is an extremely generic name, let me just be the one to tell you that Activision has donated them money. Activision Blizzard donates $1 million to Women in Games International Organization as of November 4th, 2021. So Blizzard, a company that makes video games, has monetarily supported an organization that is now going after video games. I mean, the jokes can't write themselves any better. Activision Blizzard was sued in July of 2021 by the state of California for fostering a pervasive frat boy culture within the workplace. And of course, in this time, they wanted to clean up their image, and they thought to themselves, since it's women accusing us of these things, let's support more women-led organizations. Among the accusations levied at the company are claims that an employee took her own life after a manager had shared private images of her in a work group chat. Additionally, the company was also sued by shareholders for supposedly being misleading, but as the publisher attempted to recover in the wake of the internal issues, they partnered with Women in Games International and in turn given the company a $1 million grant, the largest in their history. Now, this is just a group that tries to get more women into the industry. They fund professional development and mentorship programs, but it seems that they're trying to broaden their horizons now by censoring video games and getting platforms to remove them. Because going back to the new article, it says a statement from the nonprofit organization condemns a game which was added to Steam last month, but which VGC will not name in this article. First of all, if you're going to talk about a situation, why are you not going to talk about the game that is being targeted? That is absolutely wild to me that you are not going to name and shame the game if that's what you feel should be done towards this like studio or project. Like, that is ridiculous to me. We're talking about an article that is being written for adults to read. I think that we can handle whatever content you're talking about. I mean, you'll list off the problems you find with the content, but you won't list off the name itself. Its Steam descriptor tells players they have to own her and then become every woman's worst nightmare. The game's Steam page, which also includes a screenshot of a woman with a hand clenched around her throat, says it graphically contains sex and violence, mature language, nudity, graphic depictions of oral, vaginal, and other sexual activities. Now, there are definitely games out there that you might be uncomfortable with, and that is totally okay. If you genuinely feel uncomfortable with the content that is described here or that is in plenty of other games, you do not have to buy the game and you do not have to play the game. Now, by just doing a little bit of digging, it's not that hard to find. It's called No Mercy. It's on Steam, and the description of it says No Mercy is a 3D choice-driven adult visual novel with a huge focus on things like incest and male domination. After your mother's affair shatters your family, you take on a new role, not to fix what's broken, but to claim her for yourself. Now, this is not an experience I myself would play. I would not buy this because I feel that it's just not something for me. But that does not mean that I think that it should be banned, that I think that they should not be able to create this, because ultimately it's rated properly. I mean, it says it's got the NSFW nudity sexual content tags. It's even got an 18 plus symbol in the title. Like, they have done everything in their power to ultimately make it so it will not reach a younger audience or an audience of people who might not like this content. And if you click the page, right, and you go through the age check and you look at the content, you are the one who is exposing yourself to that. So why are you then going to complain about it? Now, of course, video games have always been the target of certain organizations and government officials who say, oh, violence in video games can cause violence in the real world, even though there's not a clear, cohesive scientific link to that. But there are plenty of games that are supposed to make you feel uncomfortable, and that is part of the experience. I oftentimes have to talk about games like Silent Hill because there are a lot of people who have been very angered at Silent Hill over the years, especially a game like Silent Hill 2, where James's kind of sexual manifestations are in the game and women are viewed as objects. And there are themes like rape and discussions of things like that. I mean, of course, here's just a very brief description of Silent Hill 2 and talking about these types of themes. Later on, he rescues Angela from a monster, after which she reveals that her father had raped her as a child. A nearby newspaper clipping implies that she killed her father before coming to Silent Hill. That to me is a pretty intense adult theme. We also have Haunting Ground, which touches on some of these same things. Some critics highlighted Haunting Ground's sexual themes surrounding the objectification of Fiona as one of its best elements because they felt it was an important theme to the actual story. And have they ever called for these games to be banned? Well, maybe women in gaming specifically have not, but there have been people who have tried to censor these games in the past and have tried to get organizations to take them off of their platforms, which of course I think is ridiculous. Again, just because you are uncomfortable with it does not mean that other people should not be able to experience that same thing. They, of course, go on to claim that it is misogynistic content, and they want to advocate for safe and inclusive communities where women and girls are respected and supported, and eradicating the toxic cultures that foster harassment and abuse. And this is a very commonly pushed narrative as well, that's if you do something in a video game, it means that you are capable of doing that something in real life, which is insane to me. Now, they could have tried, I guess, to attempt to back up their stance here with any sort of scientific links, whether it is research and surveys. They didn't because, of course, they don't have it. But they are trying to reach out to Valve to get them to ban this because they're saying it promotes, disgusting and vulgar and degenerate themes. And because of this, there are a lot of gamers who are just kind of pointing and laughing at them, saying it's ridiculous that we have this moral panic that's going around yet again. Because, yeah, I mean, it was satanic panic, and then it was, oh, violence in video games and weapons in video games. And now, of course, we're at sexual degeneracy. Let me guess, if it was men being essayed, there would be complete silence. Am I correct? Well, guys, they're not called men in gaming. Imagine if there was an organization just called Men in Gaming that went around trying to defend men and the depictions of men in video games. There would be so many people who would be mad saying, oh, you guys, you have so many games about your gender. You already have it all. You have good experiences and bad experiences, so you shouldn't complain. After reading the article, the game sounds like straight up satire from the Steam description. I completely agree. Again, it's not something that I would play, but that's just my personal preference. I have a lot of games that I play. I mean, I stream tons of games as well, but it doesn't sound like it takes itself very seriously. Women in games brought us into the new age of slop. We should just mute these harpies altogether. This is so stupid. Women's erotica is full of grape and other horrors, yet no one cares. Yeah, I mean, there are plenty of books and fan fictions, and also, yes, some video games out there that are clearly aimed towards women's fantasies, and people don't sit there and complain about those because, well, at the end of the day, it's just fictional content. So I'll be interested to see if Valve ends up replying. Valve is not consistent when it comes to bans and censorship. They will remove certain content off of their platform if there is enough of a stir. So if this game would get banned, it wouldn't shock me, though, of course, it definitely would disappoint me because ultimately Steam should have clear and concise guidelines for the developers on their platform. But over the years, they haven't have made hundreds and hundreds of videos on the platform. So I'll be keeping my eye on this situation. But right now, a organization which Activision Blizzard has given at least $1 million to in the past is calling for this game to be censored, shut down, and removed from Steam. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.